Distinguished senators, my distinguished, please examine the rules and proceedings of Tuesday, the 20th day of November 2024, and confirm that the entries are true reflection of what transpired yesterday. Page 143, sorry. I don't even have the I don't have it here. Page 577, page 578, page 579, page 580, page 581, page 582, page 583, page 584, page 585. Senator Aliu magataka don wa mako sai kin yamma Sakwato.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, Aliyu M. Wamakwa, my names, I stand to propose that the both of President of Tuesday, 6 November 2024 be approved. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ipalibo Banigo Harry. You may second the motion moved by Sekin Yamba Sakwato.
The President, Senate, distinguished colleagues, Ipalibo Harry Banigo, representing the good people of Rivers West Senatorial District. I stand to second the motion for the adoption of the proceedings, votes and proceedings, as recorded on Tuesday, 26 November 2024.
Those in favor of the motion moved by His Excellency, the former Governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aliyu Magataka Wamako, the second Yama of Sokoto, and seconded by Her Excellency, the former Deputy Governor of Rivers State, distinguished Ipalibo Banigo Harry. Please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceeding of yesterday is hereby adopted. Announcement. Committee on Nigerian Army of the Senate of the National Assembly. The President of Senate, Chairman National Assembly, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, sir, notice of screening. This is to inform distinguished senators of the Senate this is to inform distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Army that the screening process for the confirmation of the Acting Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Olatubosun Oluyede, will take place today, being Wednesday, the 27th day of November 2024 at room 211, Senate New Building by 2 p.m. Yours sincerely, Senator Abdulaziz Musa Eradua, Chairman, Senate Committee on Army. Birthday announcement. Distinguished colleagues, the following distinguished senators are celebrating their birthdays today, the 27th day of November 2024. 1. Senator Isa Shaib Law. 2. Senator Adebule Idiat Oluranti. On behalf of the Senate, I wish the distinguished senators happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. Signed, President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, 27 November 2024. The Senate Leader. Any petition? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Senator Binos Dr. Yaro.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Binos Yaro. I represent Adama South. Mr. President, I have a petition from two of my constituents who are orphans, who inherited a land their late father bought way back in 2012. In their attempt to take possession of the land, the natives prevented them until they reached an agreement to compensate them for the economic trees. After they did that and mobilized to move to sites and develop the land, a contingent of military personnel from the Army Estate Management went there fully armed and prevented them from taking possession of the land. Every effort to resolve the matter proved futile.
Is the matter in court?
It is not in court, Your Excellency.
You may wish to submit your petition. The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions to report back in 2 weeks. Any other petition? You may read your petition.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Engineer Kenneth Eze, representing the people of Ebonyi Central Senatorial Zone. Mr. President, this petition is a very pathetic one. No litigation yet. That is about one of my constituents that gained admission to study in Russia. He fulfilled all the requirements, he was granted a visa to travel, and he paid all the tuition fees, only for him to be turned back at the point of entry without any reason or any information. He was just turned back to his country. So he has asked Senate to intervene in this matter.
Any legal encumbrance, any legal action, has any legal action been taken over the matter?
None.
You may wish to place your petition on the table.
Thank you, Mr.
The petition is hereby referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions to report back within 2 weeks. Any other petition? No petition. The leader of the Senate will proceed.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill 2024, HB 234. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill 2024, HB 234, first reading.
Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill, HB Bill 2024, HB 105, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is also the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal College of Health Technology, Benin Sheikh, Borno State, Establishment Bill 2024, HB 234. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, first reading.
Federal College of Health Technology, Benin Sheikh, Borno State, Establishment Bill 2024, HB 234, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished senators Sani Musa on the National Land Drainage Bill 2024 SB 435. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Land Drainage Bill 2024, HB 435, first reading.
National Land Drainage Bill 2024, SB 435, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Banigo Ekwalibo Harry on the National Information Technology Development Agency NIDA Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 517. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 517, first reading.
National Information Technology Development Agency NIDA Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 517, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Yaro Binos Dauda on the Local Government Allocations Management Bill 2024 SB 636. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President,
Senator Wadada, Senator Zangondora, take your seat.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Local Government Allocations Management Bill 2024 SB 636, first reading.
Local Government Allocations Management Bill 2024 SB 636, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Abbas Aminu Iya on the National Agency for Technology Management Establishment Bill 2024 SB 658. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agency for Technology Management Establishment Bill 2024 SB 658, first reading.
National Agency for Technology Management Establishment Bill 2024 SB 658, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Federal College of Skills Acquisition and Technology, Agolo, Anambra State Establishment Bill 2024 SB 493. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 4th of July 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Ume Victor to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Victor Ume, the floor is yielded to you to move the motion that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to move the motion that this very important bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Skills Acquisition and Technology, Agolo, in Anambra State, SB 493, be moved.
You may wish to proceed. You don't need a seconder.
Thank you, Mr. President. My brother is already itching to second the motion. Senator Moye. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, I hereby present the lead debate on this very important bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Skills Acquisition and Technology, Agolo, Anambra State, SB 493. Mr. President, my highly respected, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill. The bill seeks to establish the Federal College of Skills Acquisition and Technology, Agolo, Anambra State. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 3rd of July, 2024. Distinguished senators will agree with me that the acquisition of technical and technological skills is a major requirement for the advancement and development of any nation. Therefore, establishment of platforms for acquisition of requisite skills through technical and technological education is in itself a source of youth empowerment, which invariably is a sure way of curtailing unemployment in the country. It is instructive to note that Nigeria today ranks among nations with very high level of youth unemployment. We have millions of youths idling away without any visible means of livelihood. And this has significantly contributed to the high level of insecurity in the country, as there is a saying that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. However, these idle youths can be salvaged and empowered through acquisition of technical skills that will provide employment opportunities for them, especially in the construction industry, as well as enable them to be self-employed. It is for these reasons that this bill has been conceived to provide trainings in sundry services, such as bricklaying, electrical installations, plastering, roofing, plumbing, painting, cooling systems, refrigeration, carpentry, steel fabrications, welding, sealing POPs, iron bending and fitting, and so on and so forth. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is not in doubt that people with these skills are the backbone of the construction industry in any given nation. For example, in America and other developed countries of the world, great emphasis is placed on skills acquisition among the youth, particularly those not in pursuit of university degrees or diplomas in tertiary institutions. They are known as handymen that render essential services in diverse areas and are properly certified and registered. Distinguished colleagues, on this note, I humbly request my distinguished colleagues to support the expeditious passage of this bill because of its far-reaching relevance to the socio-economic development of this country. In Nigeria today, most of these handymen are employed from Benin Republic, Cotonou, and the rest of it. They are the people rendering these services, which we can get our youths to acquire the skills and begin to offer these services in the construction industry and in our various homes. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Tony Moye.
Thank you, my dear President, for this rare privilege. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Dr. Tony Moye, representing Anambra North. I want to second this motion and also lend my voice briefly to this bill to be read the second time, as moved and espoused by my dear, very distinguished senior colleague, Senator Victor May, for a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Skill Acquisition and Technology, Agolo, Anambra State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management, administration, and for other related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in as much that unemployment rate decreased from 5.6% to 5.3% in second quarter, which is commendable. But at the same time, youth unemployment stands at 6.50% nationwide. But we must say that despite this decrease in unemployment rate in this quarter, that there is a very need for this bill to be read second time, so that this school acquisition center can be established in Agolo and Nocha local government in Anambra State, so as to create more opportunities for our youths to be educated in science, technology, and mathematics, especially on skill acquisition. There's a need for this institution to be established so that some people can be gainfully employed, so as to reduce insecurity, reduce unemployment, and other things that are plaguing our youths. So I'm lending my voice that we are appealing to our distinguished colleagues to support for this bill to be read second time. I so second. Thank you.
Senator Adams of Shomole, then Senator Francis Ezenwa will follow.
Mr. President, sir,
my distinguished colleague, I listened very attentively to the argument of Senator Ume, now supported by my distinguished comrade.
But let me remind you, sir, that for now, we are taking contribution from those in support of the bill. Thereafter, we now go those against the bill. So I don't.
Yes, sir.
Are you
I'm
for?
supporting.
Are you for? If you are not for,
I am for.
okay.
You know, you have taught us, sir, that once we are in the Senate, it is one house. There is no PDP, there is no APGA, there is no APC, just the Senate. And the first two speakers are from PDP. And they don't have the numbers to get the motion through. So they need to have a handshake across the aisle. I believe that this is, for me, the kind of institutions we should be encouraging, not even universities of technology. Because, Mr. President, sir, it will shock you when you interact with major contractors like, I will mention their name freely here, first-class civil engineering contractors. You will find that they need electricians. They'll put sign at their site, they can't find. They need plumbers, you can't find. Just those basic skills. If I'm not going to take your time, but it's worth reminding you that I traveled with President Jonathan to somewhere in Southern Africa. I believe it's this small country. But my embarrassment was that the Nigerian ambassador there was pleading with the country's president that they want to train, they should admit Nigerians to learn bricklaying, plumbing, those basic stuff. And I felt so belittled because the president then reminded us that he was a product of Nigeria Police College, Ikeja. And now we are asking him to provide Nigerians opportunity to be taught about plumbing, bricklaying, POP, etc., etc. Sir, to deal with the crisis of unemployment in Nigeria will be solved by the kind of bill that he has proposed. Because we face today not just the fact of so many people not being employed. The real shame, Mr. President, is that a lot of these young people are not employable. And that compounds the problem. With skills such as the one that will be taught in the institutions that Senator Ume proposing should be located somewhere in Anambra, which is not too far, to several other cities that are used to jobs like this. I think this Senate will be doing Nigerians, not Anambra people, a word of good by shifting emphasis to skill acquisition. And as he lists them out, bricklaying, iron bending, those basic things that the Minister of Labor used to do when I was in Kaduna.
Your Excellency, you have one second remaining.
So I support, it has been seconded already. I support that this bill should go through second reading. It is timely, it is consistent with our determination to have youths that are not just product of universities, that have no skills except they get a job in the public sector. This one will drive the economy at local level and various parts of the country. So, Mr. President, sir, I rise to support that this bill should go through second reading. Thank you, sir.
Minority Leader, please allow Francis to have the floor, then you, please. Sorry, Senator Francis Ezenwa.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Ezenwa Onyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District. Mr. President, I consider this bill a very important one. I have an inclination towards skill acquisition and specialized institutions. The bill being proposed is about a specialized institution, and I believe that that is the trend. Globally, that is the way the whole world is going. But what makes this bill very interesting is the Nigerian situation. In Nigeria today, we have a shortage of qualified artisans. Mr. President, if you go to your community and you have something to do, to get artisans who will do it for you is an odious task. So an institution like this that will train and prepare them for the task ahead cannot be ignored. And I also believe that it will at the same time address the issue of unemployment amongst our youths. And the timing will be right, because once they are coming out from primary school, they can get into some of these institutions that will mold and train them, instead of allowing them to roam the streets, pick up the wrong values, and when it is late, we now begin to try to train them or give them the requisite skills. At that point, they become untrainable, unemployable. So that is why I support wholeheartedly this bill for this specialized institution. And I urge my colleagues to please do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Senator Adam Oshomole, why I was drawing your attention that it was a time for those in support of the bill to make their contribution, because I know you're an advocate, you support fully the implementation of Orensanya report, and you've been somehow a lone voice in this Senate that always go against the establishment of institutions, new institutions. So that's why I was thinking that we're going to go against the bill, but it's an exception. So you are lucky that I didn't go against your bill. Thank you. So, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to lend my voice in support of this bill to be read a second time. Mr. President, this bill is germane. This bill is apt, and this bill speaks for the times. Mr. President, one of the major problems that we have in Nigeria today is a problem of examination malpractices. And tell me why. Because the Nigerian system has emphasized so much on certificates that Nigerians will go to any length to acquire the certificates. Whether they acquire the knowledge or not is immaterial to them. And so I think that this bill, if executed, will cure that malice. Secondly, Mr. President, the most successful human beings in terms of business and wealth today are the Igbos of Southeast. And the reason is very simple. They believe very much in apprenticeship, in learning by doing. And so they are very successful whenever they come out of it. And today we are trying to examine a situation where we can create a platform for Nigerian youths to acquire skills. Because in America, for instance, the artisan, the engineer, is more highly regarded than the ordinary persons you find in government houses and the rest of them. And so they don't have reason to even go to a government job. They will even refuse government job if you offer them one, because they have the knowledge and the expertise to live their lives. And so this is one area of creating that avenue for Nigerians to learn to acquire knowledge, to be useful, and engage in productive activities of their own. Mr. President, finally, I want to inform you that years back, several skills acquisition centers had been introduced in Nigeria. But unfortunately, Mr. President, most of them have been uncompleted. In the last regime, I went to my friend, Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Diary, and I said, look, we have these platforms all over the country, and they are uncompleted. Find a way to complete them so that Nigerians can find a way of acquiring knowledge to be useful to themselves. He agreed, but unfortunately, I think because of the exigencies of the time, he was unable to activate those skills acquisition centers. So in addition to supporting this establishment, I will urge the Senate to also know that there are such uncompleted skills acquisition centers spread across the country uncompleted, so that they can be completed, so that Nigerians, especially unemployed youths, can find avenue of acquiring additional skills. Mr. President, it will interest you to note that most university graduates today are learning trades in order to be gainfully self-employed. whether it is in the saloon, whether it is in the barbing, wherever. They try to find ways of earning livings other than acquiring government job. So, Mr. President, I support this bill to be read a second time, and I support that it be approved for implementation so that Nigerians can find other alternatives than government job to be able to live their productive lives. I thank you, Mr. President.
Please, we'll allow for two minutes so that we can go to the next. Well, you see, I want to organize more, but is there anybody against the bill? Okay, Eze, just say, then we move. We'll put the question.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the honor to add my voice to this very important bill. I'm particularly interested because I have a similar bill. So I'm an interested party, and thank you for the honor to lend my voice. I get excited when we talk about skill acquisition and vocational training because I'm an engineer and I practice it. I know that the people that drive this project are the people that belong in this category. So, this category of people are the driving forces of the economy. They occupy the productive section. So I urge every member of the Senate to support this bill for the second time. And to say, Mr. President, I think it's a high time we begin to put a stop in establishing further universities and concentrate more on this level of education, post-secondary education, that will train our youth on skill acquisition.
Thank you.
So that they can be
1 second
employable.
remaining.
Thank you. I support this bill wholeheartedly. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Skill Acquisition and Technology, Agulu, Anambra State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2024, SB 493, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish Federal College of Skills Acquisition and Technology, Agulu, Anambra State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2024. Second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend the sponsor of the bill and those who contributed in the debate for the second reading. As said by all here, it is an important agency to be established in order to take care of our zeal to have the necessary manpower to build our nation. It's really important because technicians are those involved in actual work to get all the things we need in developing our nation put together. Engineers, of course, design. They do the design and supervise whatever is to be done, but technicians are the real people involved in any meaningful work to develop an entity, a nation, or conglomerate, or a corporate institution, and so on and so forth. So it's really important. Once we get it right here, we'll be able to get our zeal to develop our nation properly actualized. So I thank you very much for bringing this bill, and we commend all those who contributed. The leader of the Senate.
The President of Senate, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Satellite Towns Development Commission Bill 2024 SB 533. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in the chamber on Tuesday, 22 October 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Aliu Wadada Ahmed to move the motion for the bill to be read second time. Is he here?
Senator Wadada Ahmed Aliyu, the floor is yielded to you to move the motion for you to read your bill second time.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkin Yakin Kefi, the famous horse rider. I stand to move the motion that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Capital Territory, FCT Satellite Towns Development Commission, Establishment Bill 2024, be read for the second time.
You may proceed.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks for the establishment of Federal Capital Territory Satellite Towns Development Commission. This bill was first read on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. The aim of this bill is to establish the Federal Capital Territory FCT Satellite Town Development Commission. It is an initiative aimed at addressing the growth and infrastructure needs of the FCT satellite towns. The background of the bill: FCT is bounded by Nasarawa, Niger, Kaduna, and Kogi as contiguous states. Since its creation, the FCT has continued to be see tremendous growth as Nigeria's federal capital territory. This rapid development has, however, come with a set of challenges, particularly to the satellite towns, which are all forced to accommodate the workforce of the Federal Capital Territory. The creation of the Federal Capital Territory has also continued to have significant socio-cultural, economic, and political impact on the surrounding towns and communities. While Abuja has become a hub for governmental, political, and economic activities, the neighboring towns to the FCT have continued to experience various challenges as they are all de facto extensions of Abuja. They continue to suffer from inadequate infrastructure, limited public services due to overcrowding and ever-growing population influx. While Abuja flourishes as the nation's capital center, neighboring towns continue to face underdevelopment as their local economies struggle to compete with the wealth generated in Abuja, thereby creating a stark economic divide. The key provisions of this bill: the FCT Satellite Towns Development Commission Bill proposes the establishment of the FCT Satellite Towns Development Commission to cater for satellite towns that are to be determined by a 60-kilometer distance into all the contiguous states of the FCT from their FCT borders. Mandate: the FCT Satellite Towns Commission shall have the mandate to ameliorate the infrastructure deficit, manage urban sprawl, and promote sustainable development within the satellite towns. Governance structure: the bill outlines the governance structure of the commission, establishment of the different administrative units and needed location offices. Funding shall be on a first-line charge in line with applicable laws. And this first-line charge will be that Federal Capital Territory will contribute, federal government will contribute, the contiguous states to the FCT will as well contribute. Rationale for the bill. The FCT Satellite Towns Development Commission is set out for the underlisted reasons. Housing deficit. The rapid urbanization of the FCT, which resulted in an acute shortage of affordable housing, has continued to cause a mass movement of people to the satellite towns, thereby creating informal settlements and slums. This has led to overcrowding, lack of basic amenities, and poor living conditions, which further exacerbate poverty within some of the towns in the contiguous states. Brain drain. Many educated individuals in the satellite towns move to Abuja to access better jobs, job opportunities, and facilities, leaving behind a brain drain that hinders local development of the satellite towns. Limited access to services. The satellite towns always have shortage of quality educational and healthcare services. While Abuja boasts of high-quality services, the surrounding towns struggle with inadequate facilities, leading to a disparity in health and education outcomes. Cultural clashes. The migration of different ethnic groups into the satellite towns has continually led to cultural clashes of different groups with divergent values and lifestyles, and that sometimes lead to tensions, especially when chasing scarce resources or competing for land and employment. Rise in crime and social tensions. The widening economic gap between Abuja and its surrounding towns has led to social inequalities, as those who have migrated into satellite towns often face poor living conditions, informal settlements, resulting in high levels of crime, social unrest, and inequality. Cultural homogenization. As people from the different parts of Nigeria flock into satellite towns, the rich cultural diversity of the surrounding towns often gives way to a more homogenized national culture, causing the marginalization of local cultures. Rural-urban migration. Towns surrounding the FCT have seen a drain of young, working-aged individuals to Abuja, leading to a decline in agricultural production, traditional craftsmanship, and other rural-based industries in these neighboring communities. If this bill is passed, will ameliorate the infrastructure deficit, manage urban sprawl, promote sustainable development within the FCT satellite towns. The Commission's role will include the development of essential structure, such as roads, drainage system, healthcare services, education, social services, and public utilities as waste management. In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the establishment of an FCT Satellite Towns Commission will be a conscious effort towards spreading development to all nooks and crannies of our nation, in view of the stated benefits and more. I urge you, all of you, my colleagues, to support this bill. And in supporting this bill, we will be doing justice. To whom much is given, much is expected. These contiguous states have all had to make sacrifices for the FCT to be a reality. So it will only be fair for such a body to be established so that we give back to them. For instance, my emirate, Kefi Emirate, used to collect taxes up to Garki, this where we are seated. And so, for the sacrifices these states have done, the contiguous states, I beg of us that we pass this bill to justify and pay back for the sacrifices done by these contiguous states. Distinguished colleagues, thank you so very much for listening, and I hope you fly with me. I love you all.
Senator Mohammed Adam Alero, former Governor, Kebbi State, you have the floor. Sorry, I'm former FCT minister. It's an authority on this bill.
You are right, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to second this very important bill to the extent that the Satellite Development Agency in FCT will be upgraded to a commission to accommodate all what has been said in the lead debate. In fact, Mr. President, the Satellite Development Agency has been established as far back as 1987. It is meant to develop all the satellite towns, provide infrastructure so that the city can be decongested. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the federal capital city is not supposed to accommodate more than 750,000 people when it was conceived. But due to population boom, due to influx of people into the federal capital territory, the city is now having more than 5 million people. And quite a number of these people are living outside the federal capital city. And the satellite towns have no infrastructure. Budgetary provisions are grossly inadequate. In fact, it is only the FCT budget that is funding the satellite towns. But the FCT budget doesn't include funding of satellite towns. So for this reason, Mr. President, I support this bill. When you talk of satellite towns, we're talking about Buari, we're talking about Abaji, we're talking about Kwali, we're talking about Karu. And these are the towns that are within the FCT. But what the lead debate is saying, extending the satellite towns to a perimeter of 60 kilometers. Mr. President, that will offend the provision of the Constitution because the Constitution has already stated what FCT is, including even the satellite towns. It doesn't include anything outside what the Constitution has said. So I support the second reading of this very important bill, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Please, it seems there are a lot of people that want to contribute to this debate. So please, I'll assign 2 minutes to each senator. I will start. The senator representing FCT wants to speak. But sorry, I have recognized the former leader. The former leader will speak, then you speak. So just 1 minute, you will speak after. Former leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I fully appreciate. I was leader, you are deputy. I was leader, you are only deputy.
My God, you are not lucky. I was trying to refer to you. But it's okay. You can't tell the leader sit down. He has started. No problem.
The President, this actually just like the Supreme Senator earlier would say, this is a constitutional matter. The FCT is FCT with very clearly defined boundaries. Those satellite towns of the FCT are those satellite towns that are within the constitutionally recognized boundaries of the Federal Capital Territory. To extend it outside would mean amending the Constitution and then making a recognition of those places like Mararaba, Kefi, and several other towns in Kaduna and other states, Kogi and other states. You know, that means we are overreaching the powers of that we have from the, because we are the legislature of the FCT, we are the legislature, you know, of the FCT. Now, another difficulty that we have with this particular bill, is that, when you establish the North Central Development Commission, that North Central Development Commission is supposed to benefit those states like Kogi, Nasarawa, Niger, Plateau, and some of whose towns are likely going to come within the purview of that FCT. So we have to be very, very clear about the boundaries that we are talking about.
In other words, you are saying the North Central Law Commission is taking care of this issue.
It's taking care of those other satellite towns that are there. And like Senator Aleru has said, there is a satellite town development agency of the FCT. Now, if you want to set up a commission, being the legislature of the FCT, that is the kind of agency that we can convert into the commission that will get its funding from the first line funding of the FCT itself. So we can amend we can make a law for that agency to be converted into a commission and then give them the power of collecting first line charge from the FCT account. But extending the boundaries of Abuja satellite township to include townships in other states, I think that one will be unconstitutional and an overreach by the commission. But I have really no objection against the principle behind the bill. But we have to be very careful about its constitutional implications. Thank you.
Senator Ireti Kingibe, Senator representing the FCT.
My name is Senator Ireti Kingibe, Senator representing the Federal Capital Territory. I rise to support this bill. FCT Abuja is the fastest growing city in Africa. Therefore, whether we like it or not, a lot of people live in Mararaba, all around. Even in the satellite towns of the FCT, there are no infrastructure. There isn't anything to accommodate the influx of people into Abuja on a daily basis. Let me give you an example. If the satellite development agency is upgraded to a commission, it would take care a lot of the low-income people who work in Abuja, live in Mararaba, Masaka, all the environs of FCT. There's not inadequate housing within the Federal Capital Territory to accommodate them. That's why you have all the slums that we have. There's no infrastructure. But if this commission exists, it will take care of the lower income people who do not have houses in Maitama and Asokoro and Wuse and Garki, who move out and out and out. And of course, technically, they are in other states, but they will tell you, we live in Abuja. They do not live in Abuja. New Karu is in Nasarawa. Mararaba is in Nasarawa. If you go to the other side, it has entered Kaduna or Kogi or even Niger State. So I wholeheartedly support, we will work out the modalities of the Constitution, but that commission is critical. FCT, we all live here. All the agencies are here. All the MDAs, all of them are here. So it does not make sense for us to ignore the realities of having so many people living in the capital. And the capital isn't just the few districts that have been developed. Kuje, Garki, all the Kuje, Abaji, all those places. And even outside of those places, they still need that development. So I rise to wholeheartedly ask my colleagues that this commission is really critical to the well-being of the Federal Capital Territory. So I ask you all to please support it. I so submit.
Sani Musa, you have 2 minutes to make your contribution. Thereafter, sorry, Minority Leader, we need to move here. When it comes here, then you're going to make your contribution. Senator Sani Musa, then Senator Patton Ndubezi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. My distinguished colleagues, this bill is very important, and from the lead debates, the intent of this bill is to see how FCT can augment the sufferings of the satellite towns, including the border towns. And I believe that is the reason why in the lead debate, the presenter was talking about contributions from states. Looking at the sponsor, looking at the way the influx of people within the satellite towns, majority of the people works in the FCT. Due to this influx, a lot of infrastructural facilities were overstretched. They were overstretched and most of them made obsolete because over time they are no longer working. I can cite example with Suleja. I can cite example with Buhari, the new Buhari. I can cite example with Zuba. All those cities or satellite towns are in Niger State, but majority of the people that lives around there, they are working in FCT, and they pay their taxes in terms of pay to FCT, not even where they are residing. So as such, there is a lot of burden. And with the coming of such bill, I think it's necessary for us to look at how we can augment the haphazard structure that have been established. Why I said haphazard, you cannot let your people be in a particular place and you are not doing anything for that area. Nothing is allocated to those places. If you go, there are no roads, no schools, no clinics, and yet majority of these people that work in the FCT resides in those places. So it's not about doing roads for Buhari, Abaji, and the rest, and then Kukuje, and then forgetting about Suleja, forgetting about Zuba, Okaru. There is need for us to look at this bill and give this bill the needed attention so that we can correct the anomalies that is there. So I plead with my colleagues to support this bill so that it can go for the second reading. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can understand that so many people want to speak to make their contributions in respect of this bill, but we are a bit constrained because you can see this document going around. The Committee on Finance, in conjunction with the leadership, decided to invite the chairman of FRRS and experts in tax laws to come down here to brief us about the tax bill. And that was scheduled to hold at this period. And the chairman is around waiting, as well as the experts who are going to brief us in respect of clause by clause, brief us on each of the clauses of the bill. It's a kind of interactive session, and whoever has any question about the bill, such person can ask, so that we can have more explanation from the chairman as well as the consultants who are going to be around with us. So it is this respect that I want to discontinue this debate. Sorry, we're going to I'll allow the leader to make just 1 minute. Minority leader, he wants to, you have the privilege, make your contribution. And Senator Patrick, Patrick is very much concerned. Just you, I give you half a minute so that we can, okay, 1 minute, so that we can round up and put the question. No, you speak. You speak.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the privilege and honor, irrespective of the time constraint, to allow me to speak on this debate. On this bill, Mr. President, I do not support that this bill should be read the second time for some reasons that is clear. Mr. President, we are already working on the North Central Development Bill. And this bill is like showing that these satellite cities does not belong to the North Central. And we can't be making laws that are contradictory or just doing academic exercise. We have North Central Development Commission, which we have debated in this chamber. Coming back to debate another development commission for an area that is already covered in the other bill, I don't think it makes sense. Also, since there is an agency in the FCT that is saddled with the responsibility to develop the satellite towns, I will support what the former FCT minister said. We can, the sponsor of this bill can withdraw it, make the necessary amendment, and represent it. But coming here to pass a bill to establish FCT Development Commission, I don't think it's the right thing for us to do here. I thank you, Mr. President.
Busy. Just 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I pray you listen to me. My name is Senator Patrick C. Ndubeze from representing Imo North. I want to explain certain or bring to bear certain knowledge or understanding about this FCT so that we'll follow or pass a bill that will not make us to look or will not be contradictory. I've been here for a long time and I've been part of FCT. Please, Mr. President, we have FCDA, Federal Capital Development Authority. Mr. President, we have STDA, Satellite Town Development Agency. But however, because of management and funding, the agency was brought down to be a department, STDD. And when the same work they were doing as agency, that's what they are doing now as STDD, as a department in FCT. And in FCT, we have the Health Secretariat, Education Secretariat, Agri Secretariat, and all the rest of them. So we can no longer come up to create commission that will supersede all of them, because there will be issue of commissioners and all the rest of them. In SCDA, in the FCT, they have not gotten anything commissioned. Rather, we have mandate secretariats, education, health, and all the rest of them. And they are being taken care of by mandate secretaries. So what I am saying is his bill is good, but it has to be restructured to be called Satellite Town Development Agency, which we have had. They have no work to do with financing education. It's all majorly infrastructure. They have engineering department, planning, survey, and all the rest of them. I have the company I chair before coming to the Senate. They have
Thank you. Your time is off. Thank you very much, because there's no time. Hand up. Just 1 minute, 1 second remaining.
Okay. So what I'm saying is this, and we should go by that name, Satellite Town Development Agency, which they have had in the past, but was brought down to department. And when we go by this, the structure is already existing. And their work, I have said, will go by the department they have there. They have different departments there. There is nothing like commission in FCT. If we go by that, we'll be derailing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, we come to the end of this debate. As I said earlier, we have some guests waiting for us, and we need to receive them. This bill, everybody agrees that is something that is necessary, that intendment is good, but probably how it's going to be configured is a problem. So that has been raised by the former Senate leader and some others that contributed to the debate. So I believe that we should give it that opportunity to move forward, and then at the committee stage, the way it's going to be configured will now be decided. We don't kill the baby with the bathwater. Since we understand that intendment is germane, is apt, so let's allow it to move forward, and then when it gets to the committee stage, then whatever decision that's going to be taken in terms of how it's going to be configured, that will be done at that stage. And of course, when the report is brought to the floor of the Senate, we'll look at how the committee is going to do the entire thing. And if it's okay with us, then we can pass it. But it's not in tandem with the Constitution, or it doesn't go well, it's not sensible, it's not okay, then of course we can get it aborted. So it's on this note that I put the question. Those in favor that the bill be read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Satellite Town Development Commission, and for other related matters, 2024 SB 533, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Capital Territory, FC Satellite Town Development Commission, and other related matters, 2024, second reading taken. Chief Whip, please ensure order on the floor. Chief Whip. Order, please.
Senator Denduse, take your seat. Senator DK Planks, take your seat. Senator Ndubi, take your seat. Senator Jarigbe, take your seat. Senator Yaradua, take your seat. Senator Denduse, take your seat. Senator Aminu Abbas, take your seat. Chairman Communications, take your seat. Senator Khalid, take your seat.
The bill is hereby referred to the Committee on the FCT to report back within 2 weeks. Let me commend Senator Wadada Aliu for bringing forward this bill. It shows the passion you have for the development of the FCT and indeed the surrounding states. But as I said earlier, the problem is about how the bill will be actualized. And this can be sorted out at the later processing of the bill. And I do hope that the committee will do the best work in packaging the bill so that by the time the report is brought to the Senate, the best manner possible in terms of the configuration will have been sorted out. And I hope that once your intention is actualized for FCT and the entire state surrounding the FCT, it will be good for all of us, to be good for the country. Thank you very much, Senator Wadada Aliu. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I am rising to move first for the suspension of Order 12.1 on floor privileges. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, This is to enable us allow some strangers into this hallowed chamber. And the essence of this, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, is that the leadership of this hallowed chamber took a decision, just as was done by the leadership of the House of Representatives, to bring in knowledgeable experts and stakeholders that will come and explain certain things to us regarding the tax reform bill, which essentially is why I have not brought these bills for second reading, because we felt there was the need for us to be able to also ask questions. Apart from listening to them, to be able to ask questions. So essentially, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the few strangers we are bringing will include, like I said, 2 tax experts and consultants from different parts of the country, as well as the DG of Budget Office and the chairman of FIRS. Again, the essence of this is for them to come and speak to the integrity of the tax reform bills and to also enable our colleagues ask questions, after which we'll be able to do our own closed-door session and hold our own further interaction before we proceed or before we take any further legislative action on those bills. I so move, Mr. President.
Okay, order, what order?
Order 12. And by your leave, let me read. Privilege of the floor. No person shall be admitted in the lobby or the floor of the Senate while in session, except the following, and only by the consent of the Senate. And it goes like this. Number 8, the President or Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and their private secretaries. Number B, former elected President and former elected Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Number C, former President and former Deputy President of the Senate. Number D, former senators and senators-elect. Number E, members of the House of Representatives. Number I, judges of the Supreme Court. Number G, former clerks and former sergeant-at-arms of the Senate. Number H, secretary to the government of the Federation while carrying out a message from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Number I, former Speaker and former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. Number J, ambassadors and ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Number K, governors of state and former elected governors. Number 8, members of the national legislatures of foreign countries only on official duties. Number N, officers and employees of the Senate in the discharge of their official duties. Number 2, the chamber shall not be granted for any other purpose than the use of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I read through some of these things, and I listened to the leader most appropriately. I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here
and make the kind of interactions they so want. However, committees of the Senate and Appropriation can invite for the interaction of this manner, no, but not the Senate in session. I think our rule does not cover invitation to consultants or any official of government to come and brief the sentence. I so submit.
Thank you very much for raising your objection to this. But let me say, this issue of the tax bill is something that Nigerians are interested to know much about it. I'm coming. Now, I'll call you. The House of Rep did almost the same thing. So we felt, excuse me, I'm coming. We feel that it's important so that we cover this matter live. We'll go clause by clause, bring the consultant. Let us look at the entire thing. And then we will see everything. And also Nigerians will also have the privilege of knowing everything about the bill. And thereafter, of course, we'll now decide what we need to do. We just want to make the entire process very, very much inclusive, carry everybody along, all Nigerians along. So I think probably he came under the wrong rule. He's going to rephrase his request, and then it's up to the Senate if you want that to be done, and if you don't want to be done, fine. But what the leader wants to do, and of course the committee, is to open the entire thing, let it be known by all, let Nigerians know about the bill, let us know about the bill, let consultants tell us what is there, let the crafters of the bill, that is FRS, tell us about the bill. We want to make it as open as possible. We want to carry along everybody, all Nigerians. So this is what we want to do. Except you don't want openness, the intention is to open up to allow everyone to know. You may rephrase your
Mr. President.
Excuse me. Your point of order is noted, but I want to rephrase so that we can have it done formally without any problem. Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I listened to the point of order raised by most distinguished, highly respected, well-revered former leader of the House and of the Senate, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi. Mr. President, let me clarify. My motion was for suspension, not invocation, of Order 12. Order 12 talks about those who are privileged to speak in this hallowed chamber, as well as the exceptions that can be granted. But when a motion is moved for suspension, it means that rule does not apply again. In addition, sir, for the purpose of our working relationship, let me also amend my motion by saying that in addition to my motion for suspension of Order 12 on floor privileges, I'm also coming under Order 1B, which says in all cases where there is no specific provision or rule, the Senate shall regulate its own procedure. So, Mr. President, let it be said that my motion is based on both the invocation of Order 1B of our rules as well as the suspension of Order 12 of our rules. Nigerians need to know, and we also want to know. Let's hear these people. Let's ask them questions. And that's why I've chosen that we go this way before I bring my bill for second reading. After this, we'll still have our own closed-door session tomorrow as colleagues to further discuss this issue. It's a matter of urgent public importance. I so move, Mr. President.
Manuel Leader, can you second the motion, please?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
Those in favor that we should allow for openness We should allow the Nigerians to know what is happening about the bill. We should also educate ourselves about the bill. And in that respect, the motion has been moved by the leader and seconded by my majority leader. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Order, what order?
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Order 38. And I just take the last part of Order 38. That is order of the business. Mr. President, the order of the business says, number 10, that our business for the day will be based on the order paper. The order paper does not contain this. And for God's sake, this is a very, very, very important matter. We should not in any way try to use the position of the Senate because the order paper is clear and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures. And that is if today this thing has to be taken, you now quickly ask for supplementary order paper that will reflect this. And as you said, this is a very, very important matter. It is not a matter that you just come and tell us after we are doing business of the day. Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You will have your way, but I can have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice. This thing is very sensitive. Our people have been dominated by this matter. When you say it's matter of urgent national importance, yes, we do have matters of urgent national importance. But even those matters normally is referred to the next legislative date or another legislative date. Please, I beg you in the name of God, in the name of God, this matter is very, very important to not only us, but Nigerians that we represent. And we swear by Bible and Holy Quran that will represent the interests of the people. These people partially have spoken. The governors, the National Economic Council, and that makes
you have made your point. Can I respond to you?
You can rule me out of order.
Let me respond. Let me respond to you. Now, please, we are not here for rhetorics. We are acting on fact. Excuse me. Order, please. Order, please. Order, please. Order, please. Order. Please.
You, because you are sitting there saying saying it's written.
I know.
Are you saying, Mr. President, that a Senate?
No, leave me. Allow me. Wait a minute.
Is that fair to yourself? Now rule me out of order.
Okay, thank you very much. We're giving you a chance to speak. Please, I refer you to Order 1B, which the leader came under. Can you read Order 1B for me, please? Can you read Order 1B? Okay. Order 1B read as follows. In all cases not provided for in this standing order, or by sessional or other orders or practice of the Senate shall by resolution regulate its procedure. This is what we have just done. This is the resolution that we have just passed. You needed to have known what we have done. I therefore rule you out of order. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have...
Besides, excuse me.
Yes.
This distinguished senator Ndime has been the one clamoring for openness in this arrangement. We want to be open. We want Nigerians to know, we want everybody to know what's wrong here. We are trying to make everything open, live. Let everybody listen. The chairman FR is here. And why are you saying you don't want that to be done? This is wrong.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to present the team of stakeholders and tax law experts that we have invited to come and shed light on the tax reform bills. And Mr. President, let me say that regardless of what is on our order paper, the order paper does not take precedence over our rules. And that is the essence of Order 1B that you have ruled on, that at any point, the Senate shall regulate its own procedure. And I will, at this point, Mr. President, ask that you recognize Chief Whip.
Mohammed Ali Ndume, resume your seat. Distinguished Senator Asuko, resume your seat.
Mr. President, I will leave the order of proceedings at your discretion. But let me say that we have the experts here led by the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. I believe we also have the DG of the Budget Office here, along with other very eminent experts that we will listen to. And at the end of their presentation, Mr. President, I also pray that you allow any of our distinguished colleagues who may have questions to ask those questions. This is not second reading of our bill. I've not brought it for second reading. It is just for them to come and shed light on this. I thank you.
Chairman FRS, DG Budget Office, and other experts that have been invited to appear before the Senate. What we want to do today is for you to explain to us, and indeed the entire Nigerians, what this bill entails. And then we'll, of course, go to look at the bill clause by clause. What you want to do is just to be well informed. And this proceeding is being viewed live by all Nigerians, by most Nigerians, those who want to watch. So it's an avenue for all of us, and indeed Nigerians, to know what this bill entails. So please be open and try to be simple in your explanation. Don't go technical, so that Nigerians will understand the content of the bill. It's in line with our resolve to be so open, to bring openness in the entire process. This is why we have set aside the rules of the Senate to allow you to explain to Nigerians. Order, please. Order, please. We are not going to pass the bill now. No, it's merely for information, for us to be educated. I think it's an avenue, particularly the opposition, to understand. They should be happy about this process. They should be happy about this process. I don't know why they are not happy. So please, you can take the floor. You can mount the podium.
Senator Mustafa Habib, resume your seat. Senator Lindime, resume your seat.
Point of order.
What order? Wait. What order?
Order 52.
Order 52.
And Mr. President, my name is Senator Alindume. I represent Borno South. I'm not here as Senator Ndume. I'm as Ndume. I'm Senator. And the rules of debate, 52:7, says it shall be out of order to use offensive and insulting language. You called what I just mentioned on the point of order that I raised, you sitting there to say it's rhetorics. I think it's very unfortunate and you should apologize.
Well, I don't think the word rhetorics is a negative word. It's not an offense. Nobody used that against you. In the context it was used, it wasn't used against you. It was a general statement. I therefore rule out of order. Continue.
Senator Wadada, Senator Pasui, Senator Sani Musa, take your seats.
also create distortion in the economy such that if I have assets and I can get those incentives, I can outprice the other person who does not have access if I don't like their face. This again we believe is a matter we must correct. Another proposal we have in this bill is the fact that we want Nigerian companies to become multinationals so that we stop panicking every time that there's a problem with price of oil or volume. We believe that we can have multinationals in Nigeria today that will bring billions of dollars back from the money they earn globally. But our framework in Nigeria today does not encourage that. It's almost impossible. One of the proposals we have in the bill before you is to allow Nigerian companies that have operations abroad to get unilateral tax relief if they earn income abroad and they pay tax on it, and they are bringing it back to Nigeria and there's another tax on it. We should give them credit for the tax that they have paid abroad. This is what countries that want to attract headquarters companies to their jurisdiction, this is one of the things they have to do. And I believe that Nigeria is right to be that center, that destination, that choice location in Africa, first and foremost, for investment. If any company wants to invest in Africa, they will normally think about Nigeria first. While I was in the private sector, I advised many multinationals, local companies, and small businesses. 9 out of 10 times, when they ask questions about, I've also answered questions about a company that wants to set up car manufacturing, one of the largest in the world, that eventually went to another country. When they ask you the basic questions and you answer them, they usually don't come back, and it's because the numbers don't add up. So beyond our aspiration to be a great country, beyond the population that we have, we must have the right framework and environment that is conducive for investment. Another proposal we have is that we looked at what Nigerians consume. You know, the multidimensional poverty index that we started with. We said health, food, we said education, we said living standard. It turns out that most of these consumption that people need for survival carry tax in Nigeria today, VAT. We believe that it is time for us to remove VAT from this essential consumption. Nobody should have to think about making a choice between eating bread or garri because of the VAT. So our proposal is that food should no longer carry VAT. Our proposal is that education should not carry VAT, whether it's hidden or revealed VAT. Our proposal is that education and health should not carry VAT. Transportation, of course, if you hire a car, you pay the VAT. But if you enter public transportation, you should not have to pay VAT because you need that for your survival, going back and forth. The same thing with accommodation. Let people be able to put the roof over their head. So when we looked at the Consumer Purchasing Index by the Bureau of Statistics, all the consumption in Nigeria are classified into 12 categories. These very essential consumptions, they constitute 82% of where our people spend their money, particularly the low-income earners. We have proposed in the bill before you to remove the VAT on these essential items. In other words, 4 out of every 5 consumption by the masses, we no longer carry VAT. Only 1 we carry VAT. And that one that is carrying VAT is not the most basic things, which means people at the high income end are the one who tend to spend a lot of money on those things. While we are not saying they should not spend money to enjoy their lives, we're saying they should please give us a little for us to fund government. Then we also believe that we should allow businesses to restructure their organization. So there are people who start businesses accidentally. They cannot find a job, they start selling something before they know it. Before you know it, you have 5 companies and they're operating inefficiently. What you see everywhere in the world is at a point you reorganize your business to become efficient. Today, our tax laws come in the way of you restructuring your business to be efficient. It's almost like a crime for you to want to restructure your businesses to be efficient. We believe we must address that. Allow businesses to operate efficiently. The more efficient they are, the more value they can create. The more value they create, the more taxes they can pay to the government. And last but not the least of the important highlight on this Nigerian tax bill is that our small businesses are overburdened with taxes. They have to do PAYE, they have to do VAT, they have to do withholding tax, companies income tax, and endless amount of levies and charges, particularly at the local government level. We believe that it is time for us to create a threshold that is high enough to protect these small businesses. Our proposal before the National Assembly is that any business that earns 50 million naira a year or less should not be asked to carry the burden of taxes here and there. Because our data shows that out of the informal sector and small businesses, SMEs, only about 3% of them are capable of carrying the tax burden. And this 3%, if we do it well, is in fact more than the number of people that are active in the tax system today. In other words, we are attempting to tax everyone, yet we are not making progress. What other countries do is to target their top end who have the ability to pay, put all your effort on them, and you begin to see the result that is transformational in terms of your revenue. So we also have this proposal before you to protect our small businesses. On the next slide is the analysis I just spoke to in terms of how we identify the essential consumption by the Nigerian people. For example, the average household in Nigeria today spend 52% of their income just to eat. The lower you go down the ladder, the higher that percentage is. So we do not think that anybody should have to suffer hunger because of taxes. So I'll leave that slide and speak to an issue that has been very hotly debated since these bills have been presented to the National Assembly. And that is to do with the revenue sharing formula for VAT. And if you permit me, I'll spend a minute or two just to give some background. In 1986, the military introduced the sales tax decree, and it was collected by states across Nigeria. 5 years, they did not make progress. In 1991, the military set up a committee and asked the committee, help us look at why is this sales tax not working? Should we be considering value-added tax? Because at that time, more than 100 countries in the world had introduced VAT, and they were very successful. So this committee came up with a finding and advised the government that VAT is a better tax than sales tax. Sales tax creates what we call cascading effect. Every stage that you go through in producing, the sales tax will pile up, so that when you are done, the end product is too expensive. So VAT is a better tax. But the committee advised that if you must implement VAT, it should be implemented centrally, but the money should be shared to the subnational, with federal keeping the cost of managing that tax. In 1993, the military introduced the value-added tax decree, and in 1994, the implementation commenced. By 1999, when we got into the Fourth Republic, we needed a constitution. If you read the constitution of 1999 and 1979, they have a lot of similarities. We believe that the 1999 constitution, because it was fashioned after the 1979 constitution, they did not remember to put VAT in the 1999 constitution, because in 1979 there was no VAT. Because VAT has not been mentioned specifically in the 1999 constitution, and we have seen judgment even as recent as last week about gaming, lottery, that says it has to be House of Assembly of the States. Before then, we had one on hospitality and tourism. It also said, the Supreme Court said, it is the states. That is why Rivers State went to court. Lagos State has been to court on VAT, and they have won that VAT should be tax of the state. But the final appeal is at the Supreme Court. A final determination has not been made. We see danger that if we wait for the court to tell us the answer to this problem, that answer will create chaos for us. Number one, every state will collect less than half of what they are getting now. Number two, businesses will struggle because you bought something in Kaduna and you are selling it in Ekiti. They will not allow you for the input. And the more the cost piles up, the more businesses will struggle. In addition to that, in the US today, United States of America, they do sales tax and it's collected by states. But the states cannot collect sales tax on imports or international services because that is the exclusive preserve of the federal government. If states should begin to collect VAT today, they will not be able to collect import VAT. Import VAT and international VAT is about half the VAT we collect in Nigeria today. If anybody will benefit at all, it will be the federal government. We believe that the right solution is for us to address the concerns that those states have so that we can have a political solution to this problem rather than the one that says, let's wait for the Supreme Court. Therefore, we looked at the current formula for sharing VAT, and it says, federal government should take 15%, the state should take 50%, and local government should take 35%. That is the vertical distribution. But amongst the states, which is the horizontal distribution, it says at least 20% of the VAT revenue should be on derivation. The derivation for VAT is not the same thing as derivation for oil and gas. Every single state in Nigeria has derivation of VAT. When a state awards contract for their infrastructure, there's VAT, that's derivation. When any business there invoices for goods, that's derivation. But that derivation today is lopsided in favor of Lagos State because Lagos State is where the head offices of major companies in Nigeria are located. Today, VAT is attributed to the state where the VAT is paid to the government. For example, the largest VAT payer in Nigeria is MTN, followed by Dangote. When MTN remits VAT in Lagos, they are remitting VAT on all the calls that are made in Nigeria. Why is that credit given to only Lagos State? We believe that's lopsided. If Dangote sends cement across Nigeria to their distributors, Dangote's head office is in Lagos, they will pay the VAT in Lagos. All the VAT on Dangote cement, Bua cement, Lafarge cement are credited to Lagos. We said number one problem we must solve is to correct this lopsidedness of how VAT is attributed to states. Our proposal before you is that going forward, if we have your approval for the bills, every state will receive credit for the consumption within their territory. MTN will tell us these are the states where they made calls, and they can tell us from their masts. They have equipment. If I call here now, the call cannot go through until it connects. So they know where I am, I'm making a call. When Dangote does not sell one bag cement to retailers, they send it to their distributors. Their distributors have addresses that can be tracked to states. So Dangote can tell you, I've sold 10 million cement of bag of cement, and I sold 1 million in Kaduna, 10,000 in Ekiti. They can give you that information. So every state will get credit for the economic activities within their jurisdiction. We believe that once that correction has been done, we should then allow states to keep more of the economic activities that they have generated within their jurisdiction. One, because it is fair to do so. Number two, to discourage any state from going to the Supreme Court to get a judgment that they want to administer VAT on their own, which is not what we want. So this is the summary of the proposal we have that is creating a lot of debate, but we do appreciate those debates, but we believe and we appreciate and we are grateful for this opportunity to explain the reason for our proposal to the Nigerian people and of course to this distinguished Senate. I will take a few of the other important provisions in those bills that I haven't explained. One of it is personal income tax. One of it is personal income tax. And like I said in my opening remarks, today we are taxing people that earn 30,000 naira a month. That's 1,000 naira a day. How can anybody survive earning 30,000 naira a month? Even if they live alone, they will do transport, they will buy food, they will pay rent, they will pay electricity. They cannot survive. So we are proposing in the bill before you that anybody earning 800,000 naira per annum, including an extra 200,000 for rent, about 1 million, a year should not pay personal income tax. By the way, this threshold is not even the highest in Africa. It's still lower than many smaller African countries. But it's a good start for us to show that we are considerate of our poorest people. In addition to that, people who earn about 1 million, 1.5 million naira a month and less than that will see a reduction in their personal income tax bill, because it's hard for everybody. We need to protect even the low middle income earners. These proposals, if approved by the Senate, will reduce the tax on 90% of our workers, both in the private and the public sector. And it will exempt more than 30% of our citizens who earn about minimum wage, around 50, 60, 70,000 naira. Then the remaining 10% who are not so poor will now pay a little bit more. The top rate today is 24% in the law, and we are proposing it goes to 25%. We're doing some other reforms around allowances and relief. So effectively, if somebody earns 100 million naira a month, clearly not a poor person, the maximum they will pay even under our proposal is only 25%. If they were in South Africa, they'll be paying 41%. If they were in Kenya, they'll pay 35%. Of course, if they're in the UK or the US, they'll be close to 40%. But we're doing only 25%. One other reason why we believe it's important to adjust that rate for high net worth individuals is to encourage formalization. Today, distinguished senators, if I'm doing a business and I call it Taiwo Enterprises, I did not register with CAC, and I'm honest to pay my taxes, the maximum personal income tax I will pay is 19%. If I make a mistake to register that as a company the following day, from next year my company income tax is more than 40%. We are trying to correct this so that businesses will be encouraged to formalize their businesses. When they formalize their businesses, they open the door for growth. And then, because they grow, they pay taxes. I will move on to the second bill. The second bill is the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill. This is the bill that is seeking to set up a minimum standard for how we administer taxes across Nigeria, including harmonization of our tax identity. Today, someone like me can have about 3 IDs in Nigeria.
Please, can we listen to him in silence, please?
Senator Malamodori.
Okay, I'll round up now. Yes.
Senator Malamodori, please take your seat.
So for someone like me, I reside in Lagos.
Senator Neda, you must take your seat.
I do most of my work in the FCT, and I also have a number with Joint House Board. I have like 3 identities. So we're saying let's harmonize it.
Excuse me, wait. Please, can we listen in silence, please? Everybody's interested in what he's saying. You can see people at the gallery. The gallery is full. Nigerians want to listen to him, want to hear what is happening, want to have a knowledge of what is going on here. Please, let's listen to him in silence.
Yes, I'm almost done, maybe about 10 minutes, Mr. President. So we also, as part of this proposal for the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, we are proposing that we use technology to administer taxes in a way that is efficient and to be able to connect intelligence across Nigeria, so that if there's anyone who is evading taxes, we can find out. And if there's anyone who is too poor to pay tax, we can exempt them. We also have provisions for exchange of information between and among tax authorities. We have proposals for tax refunds. So if companies have overpaid their taxes, we should allow them to get a refund so that they do not have to borrow at 30-40% to pay government instead of doing their businesses. The third bill is the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill. This bill, as I explained earlier on, is trying to make the FRS play its proper role as the revenue agency of the federation that collects money for the federation, and to then connect with other agencies as well as subnational in terms of tax intelligence, use of technology, capacity building, and collaboration and exchange of information. The last bill is the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. I already explained this bill. It's trying to reform the Joint Tax Board to play a bigger role. It's trying to set up the Tax Appeal Tribunal in a way that it can handle tax disputes across Nigeria. Of course, taxpayers have the right to appeal to the court if they are not happy with the decision of the Tax Appeal Tribunal, which the National Assembly has set up but under a different framework. And the last one is a tax ombudsman to protect our small businesses and vulnerable taxpayers. So I will conclude on the next slide. Our belief is that revenue is only a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. And our policies, tax, fiscal policy, monetary policy, must facilitate sustainable growth and development for shared prosperity, which means that our economy must be organized in a way that is conducive and investment friendly. Our fiscal and tax policies must be purposeful and coherent, easy to understand and administer. Our laws must be enabling of businesses and dynamic, and governance must be simple and efficient. I'll conclude with our prayers to the distinguished Senate and the National Assembly. Our prayer is that our distinguished senators will go through these bills and help us consider them based on their merits and based on national interest in the light of the challenges that we face today. We stand ready at any time that we are given the opportunity to come and explain, to be able to do so, even to committees or any groups, as the Senate may so desire. We pray before the Senate that these proposals be favorably considered. Like I said, there are over 200 proposals trying to reform different areas of our tax system and the economy. We thank you very much for this opportunity today. We do not take it for granted. And once again, Mr. President and distinguished senators, thank you very much for the opportunity, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Kana. The floor is now yielded to DG Budget.
Order, please.
Tanimu Yakubu, you have the floor. Mr. Tanimu Yakubu has the floor now. We'll listen to DG Budget. It's a new DG Budget Office of the Federation.
Distinguished Deputy Senate President and esteemed Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our nation's economic trajectory demands urgent intervention. In 2015, Nigeria's gross domestic product stood at $493 billion, the highest in Africa at the time. Today, however, it is projected to decline by 40% to $363 billion in 2024, with a further alarming drop of 19.6% to $241 billion by 2025 if no corrective action is taken.
Chief Whip, take action, do something.
This means that within a decade, our economy would have lost over
Take your seat.
half of its
Senator Wadada, take your seat.
a staggering
Former Chief Whip, take your seat.
from 2015
Take your seat.
to 2025.
Senator Pasi, take your seat. Senator Adam Ashimele, take your seat.
This administration is determined to halt this economic slide. A critical step has been the removal of subsidies that disproportionately benefit the wealthy redirecting those funds to strengthen public sector investment in critical infrastructure and service delivery across federal, state, and local government. The results are already evident. Last month's Federation account distribution set new records in allocations. The results are already evident. Last month's Federation account distribution set new records in allocations to the 3 tiers of government. The tax reform bills before the National Assembly represents the next pivotal step in this economic recovery process. These reforms aim to consolidate the gains made so far, ensure sustainable revenue generation, and lay the foundation for a robust, inclusive economy. There are 10 compelling reasons why these bills will not only prevent further economic decline, but also catalyze a rapid economic turnaround for our country. 1, strengthening national growth. Nigeria's tax reform is a bold step toward building a self-reliant economy. By enhancing revenue generation, we reduce dependence on external borrowing and pave the way for sustainable growth and development. Fair and inclusive system. The reforms are designed to create a tax system that is equitable, ensuring that every individual and business contributes their fair share while protecting low-income earners and fostering social equity. Number 3, driving economic diversification. By reforming tax policies, Nigeria is supporting sectors like agriculture, solid minerals, manufacturing, and technology, helping to diversify the economy and reduce over-reliance on oil revenue. Number 4, boosting investor confidence. A transparent and predictable tax system instills confidence in both local and international investors, creating an environment conducive to business expansion and job creation. Number 5, encouraging compliance and efficiency. With streamlined processes and technology-driven system, tax collection is becoming simpler, more efficient, and less prone to abuse, encouraging voluntary compliance. Number 6, empowering state and local governments. Tax reforms strengthen the fiscal autonomy of states and local governments, enabling them to fund critical infrastructure and deliver better public services directed to their people. Number 7, investing in the future. Increased revenue from reforms will be channeled into vital sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure, ensuring a better quality of life for all Nigerians. Number 8, global competitiveness. With a modernized tax regime, Nigeria positions itself as a competitive player in the global market, fostering trade, innovation, and economic partnerships. Number 9, a collective responsibility. Taxation is a shared duty of citizenship. Through these reforms, every Nigerian plays a critical role in nation building, contributing to a stronger, more prosperous country. And lastly, a pathway to prosperity. This is not just about raising revenue. It is about creating an economy that works for everyone. The tax reform represents a collective effort to secure Nigeria's future and unlock the potential of our country. Thank you very much, distinguished senators.
Thank you, DG Budget Office. Let me, before I hear the floor for questions, you still want to come back, FRS Chairman? Are you done? Okay. All right. Now, excuse me, we're going to hear the floor to members to ask them questions. They have made their representation, and that's what we want. Because you may be aware that they did the same thing before the Governors Forum. They also did the same thing at House of Reps. And that's why we decided that they should also come and do the same thing here to explain to us. And they have made their presentation. Now, we yield the floor for members to ask questions. And before we do that, excuse me, you don't want to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right, you don't want. Okay, thank you very much for listening. And thank you very much for your presentation. We have listened to you. We have listened to you, and we shall continue the debate tomorrow in the executive session to arrive at a conclusion. As I said earlier, it was a mere presentation that we wanted them to make for us, and they have made it. And I urge you, just the way you've made this presentation to us, make it to Nigerians. Tell people in Hausa language, in Igbo language, in any other, all the languages, so that people understand what you want to do. Nigerians don't know. We don't know until when you made the presentation to us. So we thank you very much for coming. Chairman FRS, Chairman, I'm referring to you, and you are busy. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for what you've done by coming to present the facts to us. We will now retire tomorrow to our own cocoon to now decide on what to do. So thank you very much. You can now take your leave. The leader of Senate, can you please move for adjournment? And then we move for adjournment. You want to see?
Mr. President,
take your seat, take your seat. My chairman may wish to take his seat, if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Take your seat, please.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I stand to move first that the suspension on Order 12 of our rules with respect to floor privileges be now reinstated. Secondly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I'm also standing to move further that other items on the order paper for today be stepped down for the next legislative day, and that having listened to the presentation on the proposed tax reform bills, that will continue the debate in a closed-door session tomorrow morning. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that Order 12 of the standing rules of the Senate be reinstated, having finished with the strangers on the floor, and that we adjourn the plenary today till tomorrow to continue the debate on the tax bill before us. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and second by the leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Well, let me make it very clear. Because we told Nigerians that after their presentation, we allow senators to ask questions. We have not moved away from that. By tomorrow, when we shall continue, we'll still invite them for questions. So this adjournment will allow senators to prepare their questions so that they can ask them. So anyone that has any questions should put that together. When they come back tomorrow, we are now well informed, then we can ask them. And one can see now that those who are objecting to this kind of arrangement may not be right after all. Because information is power. You need to be informed. There's nothing wrong with what they've done. So let's all be patient whenever we are going through this kind of arrangement. So passing a bill is not something that you just do it at a go. There will still be public hearing, there will still be other processes to go on with it. Then later it will be brought again to the plenary and then it will be passed clause by clause. So it's a very long process. This is just the beginning of the entire thing. It's the beginning of the beginning. So please let's all be patient. You can have your view, but let's be well knowledgeable about whatever you want to do. Thank you very much. With this, this August Senate is adjourned till tomorrow by 11 a.m. prompt. Everybody knows tomorrow.
Don't destroy beer. That's this bill now. That's what this bill 666 to correct now. You say you are doing what? Are they coming back tomorrow? Tomorrow. What about the budget? Yes, now. Oh, bargain. Yes, now. And the profits come in billions. Oh, this guy just died, man. When you had that one, incentives, ability, all right, that's why rhetorics. Rhetorics is not insulting. No, that's why he said it. No, just one cause a sin. Rhetorics now, the ways things are done.